12:30 before we knock off for lunch, and there's enough time for both of them to deliver their presentations. Let me call on the two speakers, Dr. Kyle Leggio, Dean of Sellier School of Business and Management, Loyola University in Baltimore, and Dr. Eugenia Vieto, Director General, ESADE, Ramon Llull University in Barcelona. Can we have the speakers, please?
Given that we are standing between you and lunch, we will be brief because we are going to go behind here today. The topic is social responsibility, and the approach we take at Loyola is quite a bit broader. That's not my presentation, so I'll just kind of talk for a little while until my presentation comes up. We do believe in the Jesuit tradition of educating mind, body, and spirit. And so when we talk about social responsibility, we do include all three components in order to really have students understand at a very deep level what social responsibility means. So to begin, we went back to Superior General's comments in Mexico. Many of you were attending there. And I think one of his quotes is particularly relevant. What we intend to do when we're talking about social responsibility or educating our students is this depth of engagement. And we do believe that requires more than just classroom. That requires more than just classroom learning. So we approach it from multiple facets. For social responsibility, our approach to social responsibility is who's benefiting and at what expense in order for firms to be successful. But we don't believe you can just address this one topic, and we don't believe you address it simply in one class. So our response is quite a bit broader. Yes, it's social responsibility, but you can't attack social responsibility unless you look at the ethics of decision making and how your decisions influence longer-term perspective for your organization and your communities. We look at social responsibility in the definition I just gave you. For social entrepreneurship, we are focused on the social mission. Okay, for social entrepreneurship, we're looking at the entrepreneurial approach, but most definitely with social mission in mind. Sustainability, that's the purpose of our conference here. And it's not just the distribution of resources, but it's the fair distribution of resources throughout the world. I'll talk a little bit about service learning in a moment. It has a different meaning at Loyola in how we engage students in service learning. And then social engagement is a big part of every student. I think this is particularly important when you talk about business students. In speaking with a number of you, I've heard very similar discussions. Our business students, they really don't get mission. They're here to make money and to go out and be part of professional schools. I completely disagree with that philosophy. And I think it's even more important for business students to be focused on the mission of Jesuit schools. And we have a greater responsibility to making sure that we incorporate mission into what we do so that they become the kind of leaders that will make us proud into the future. Now, our curriculum varies depending on which program that you're in. For our undergraduate program, as I said, ethics is not one class at Loyola, although of course they take classes in ethics. It is an approach that we think about in all of our classes. How are you approaching ethical dilemmas in your courses so that students are thinking in that direction? And ethics is in developing individual character as well as focusing on the laws and rules around ethical behavior. We have a program called Alpha, and we believe in immersing students into a particular topic. So one of the topics is sustainability, and the students will take a full year arc of courses in that area together as a cohort so that the depth of their thinking is challenged a bit differently because they're with a group that they spend the entire year with as well as spending the entire year with the faculty. They take a topic and discuss it in greater depth. We have a called DCR, which is the diversity course requirement. Every student is required to take a minimum of one course in our diversity areas. And the types of diversity we discuss are global diversity, economic diversity, and then diversity, economic diversity, and then diversity of experiences throughout the U.S. The reality is, while students are required to take one diversity course, the reality is most leave with 6 to 7 diversity courses we're looking at helping our students have a broader understanding of how you approach financial decisions and marketing decisions for more than just individuals that are like you. Service learning. Within the business school, we have what we call experiential learning. Students are required to do internships. They're required to do international study. And they're also required to have meaningful service experience. And that means that they go out and they may work at a food pantry, but they're not working at a food pantry providing soup for people. They're working at a food pantry and writing a business plan to help them expand their services, to help them expand their capability of getting donations. They go to work with a business in an urban core area, and how do they help them develop a website that might expand their business? So the service learning varies depending on the student and their skills and capabilities. But our approach to service learning is to take the students and their skill sets and where they're coming from right now and apply that. And they can see how messy and challenging it often is. But what we find is they walk away not just with a good learning experience, but they also often stay involved with these organizations into the future. And for a future business leader to get that commitment to service early on, we think is critical to them. I mentioned yesterday that we were doing some work with IQS and new governance. We believe that's an important concept. We have a brand new MBA program that's kicking off in August, and they will be visiting Barcelona and learning more about new governance and how we apply that to U.S. business and make it a concept that's more well known than it is at this moment. We have 5 different MBA programs, and ethics and social responsibility is a topic that's taught. But the way our programs begin is with a residency. And in that residency, students learn about discernment, they learn about reflection. And it's an unusual assignment we have in any one of the programs where we don't do a reflection piece as well. We believe it's critical to teach individuals to be reflective leaders, because only in stopping to think about what you're doing are you able to think about longer-term consequences. We give them particular questions that they should be addressing and thinking about in their reflections. I'm a finance professor. It's not okay just to teach a student how to calculate net present value. We're using financial information to help be a piece in making a decision, but it's not the bottom line of how to make decisions. And then values in action. All of our MBA programs conclude with a service-based project that the student cohort helps design. So they identify an organization that they would like to assist and use the skills that they have incorporated during the time that they're in the program to go in and often it's writing a business plan or a market analysis. Again, many of these activities continue on long after the students are. We have a series of clubs. Again, it's not okay just to talk about social responsibility and ethical leadership inside the classroom. And most of our student organizations are very much run. It's an unusual evening that there isn't at least one presentation going on somewhere in the Salinger School. Our speaker series are extensive. We have a program called Outside In, where every faculty member will bring in outside speakers into their classroom on at least once a week during this particular week of our semester. The focus is very much on how do we engage the business community and bringing what their real-world issues are into our classrooms, so that again students can make that connection between classroom and external world much more explicitly. We have a common text in all of our programs, and the common text will be things like green to gold, so that they're looking at sustainability issues. Daily business and being explicit about talking about what our mission is and how it relates is an important part of our program. And then we work in the business community. Baltimore has its issues. Our mayor was recently indicted and actually found guilty of stealing gift cards that were given from the poor. She sort of, we all have our challenges. And so it's not just what's going on in the get those issues too. But we live in Baltimore. Everybody continue to work in Baltimore. So what does it mean now that that has occurred? So we're doing a panel this year. How does Baltimore get beyond the recent scandal? And how do we as universities, not just our university, the others in town as well, work within the business community to reduce political corruption going forward and try to keep these kinds of activities from happening in the future? We have a very active Center for Community Service and Justice. All Salinger students participate. We find that an average of 60% of our students are engaged with the center on a weekly basis. So it's part of what the requirement is. It's an expectation on their part that service is important to them and to their work, and they do continue on. We have several research grants in Colorado. One of our big strategic initiatives over the course of the next 5 years is to work on an urban area that is in decay. And it's been decaying for 40 years. It's not something we're going to fix overnight, but we wrote grants to get VISTA workers to come in and assist us with this. Students are doing projects in this particular area. One of our students wrote a summer research proposal and came up with a business resource center idea that we're implementing this year to help some of the businesses in the area. We are extremely engaged in the external community. How is Loyola a resource in the business community? We spend extensive time out serving under the committees and actively involved in the life of Baltimore. And that is one of my favorite projects. This is a program, because we work in the external community and help nonprofits, but we discovered we have more projects than we have students. And one of our faculty members came in and said, well, let me help. And so he went to our alumni and he said, you may not be part of our program anymore, you're a graduate. However, your commitment to the community should continue, and we'd like you to think about coming back and while you're continuing to work full time, give us 6 weeks and help this nonprofit in a particular area. And that stands for making a difference. He has a whole slew of different teams of alumni, and the volunteers have come out in great numbers, many of them choosing to be involved in multiple projects. To go, again, to graduated MBA students with wonderful skills coming in and helping on these projects. We now have several of the large corporations in town asking us how they can help participate in some of these projects too, so we will serve as an organizer for some of this activity. And one of our current initiatives is very focused on mission. Are we doing enough in the area of mission? And I think it's important to continue this dialogue. Within the Sellinger School, well under 50% of our faculty are Catholic. And it's not about your religious convictions as much as it is about your commitment to mission. And we ask the question, how is your syllabus different because you're teaching at Loyola versus any other public university? What does it mean to be teaching at a Jesuit institution? And how does it come forward in your classrooms? What are we doing that's mission-centered in all of our classes? It's a way that we integrate our curriculum around the topic of mission, and it's a way that we keep it front and center. And some of these conversations are tough. Some of them are quite sticky, but ignoring them is not the solution. And so that's a recent initiative that we have are doing these lunches on a monthly basis to have some good discussions around mission and to understand what other people are doing around mission in their courses. Faculty are running these mission discussions. I think social responsibility is an absolute